Welcome to the Mind Body Podcast, your rebellious podcast about a strong body, calm mind, healing, and fully living. I'm your host, Maria Angelova, creator of the Angelova Method, an integrative approach to mind and body connection. The Angelova Method redefines your success equation to include a healthy body and a healthy mind. Hi, Rebels. Welcome to the Mind Body Podcast, your rebellious podcast with me, your host, Maria, where it is all about a strong body, calm mind, healing, and fully living. And you guys, we have a extra special treat today, and that is Bryan Scott, who is joining us today to talk all about life, entrepreneurship, and wellness. Welcome, Bryan. How are you doing?
Maria, happy Tuesday. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I am excited that you said yes, and I'm excited about the conversation that is coming up because, Bryan, you have a super interesting background, retired NFL player who went into entrepreneurship, and you're into corrective type of wellness footwear.
Yeah.
You are part of the ownership of Food Solutions. And before we get all into business and all that, let's get to
Yeah.
know Bryan. So, Bryan, give us three words that tell us who is Bryan and a little bit of a backstory behind each word.
Oh, who is Bryan? All right. In 3 words? Okay. Let's go with happy. Let's go with grateful. And let's go with the last one. Um can I repeat happy again? Can
Happy squared.
I?
You can. You know what? I do
I'll
have.
take that. Yes.
I love your choice of words. And when I ask people that, like to give me their three words, and when they give me their words, I'm like, I knew that person should be on the podcast because those words are reflective of rebellious spirits who grab life by the horn and enjoy it and savor it. And, life is so much more beautiful when we see
Yeah,
it from a point of happiness and joy
that's
and
right.
point of gratitude, right? I mean, there is
Yeah,
turbulence along the path, and it's about perspective and choosing to be grateful for the things that we're blessed with.
for sure. For sure.
So, Bryan, tell us a little bit. You went from NFL
Yeah.
to entrepreneurship. Tell us
Yes.
a little bit about what happened, like what
That
took you
path.
entrepreneurship, like how
Yeah. You know
professional
what?
sport correlate.
So before we even get there, you know what's really interesting? It's so my professional career, I played 10 years. And when I got finished, I really had no idea what I wanted to do. None. So much, in fact, that I spent the first year at home in my retirement and I drove my family crazy. So as you can tell, I'm a high energy guy. And my wife, she's not a morning person. And I would get up every morning really early. Happy Monday, babe. And she's like, oh no, this is not going to work. I haven't had my coffee yet. So you have to figure out how to transfer this energy and put it towards something. Um, and you know what? That really scared me because I wasn't sure what was next in my life, right? I had done things when I got finished playing. I thought about going into commentating, like broadcasting. I thought about coaching, and I thought about actually getting into the business of music because I love music, right? And I'm a musician, and nothing was resonating with me as to what I wanted to do next. And that's really scary in life when you're trying to figure something out. Um, and you know what? I got into the world of franchising just because it was one of those things that my entire life as a team sports player, you're always given a playbook. And I was like, give me my playbook. I'll learn my position. I will try to carry this thing out to the best of my ability. And that's what I thought franchising was. So that's why I hopped into the world of franchising. And, just through, I'm going to call it saying yes and taking chances, that's really what opened up the door to where I am now with Foot Solutions. And I'll tell you that story. So we were always said, your net worth is your network, or your network is your net worth, right? When you meet people, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And one of the best places that you really can network is on an airplane. Instead of getting on an airplane, throwing your earbuds in and just kind of tuning everything out, like if you're traveling by yourself, look at who's around you, the person sitting next to you. But so in any case, that's kind of what happened. And that's what introduced me to this company that's called Noeen. And Noeen was based out of Europe. And Noeen, they were making this really cool material that absorbs and disperses shock. And as I'm getting to learn about it, I'm like, man, this product would be really, really cool in the world of sports here in the States, making contact sports safer. And what ended up happening was I met with the company over in Europe. I met with the NFL. I brought it back over here. And 6 months later, I'm walking into Shark Tank and I presented this material on Shark Tank. And really, it was from the exposure of Shark Tank that Foot Solutions came to the table. And that's where I am now. But I'll tell you what, there are many, I call them aha moments and points along that story that really could have changed the trajectory of where I am now. But I said, you know what? Let's take the shot. Let's do it. Even though I'm scared, let's go after it. And that's where I am now.
You know what I love about the story, Bryan, is that I talk to a lot of people who are like, man, I don't love what I do, but
Yeah.
I don't know what to do, right? And like you said, it's scary. Like,
Yep.
what do I do next? And I think we have that pressure of like, I need to decide right now for the rest of my life what I'm going to do starting tomorrow.
Right.
And life doesn't really work like that,
It
right?
doesn't.
It's
It
exactly what you
doesn't.
said. It's just when an opportunity shows up, be curious enough to say yes and learn just a little bit more.
That's right.
Maybe see if that feels right, or maybe it doesn't, right? But
Yeah.
just by continuously taking step by step by step, life
Yes.
kind of leads you towards your purpose and towards where you're meant to be. I mean, I know people here have heard me say this story a million times, but my business is where it is
Uh-huh.
because things didn't go the way I wanted them to. I was
Right.
like,
Right.
man, we're going this way. And life is like, no, we're going this
Nope.
way,
We're
you
gonna go
know?
this way.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's scary in the moment. And you feel like you're losing control until you learn to, you know what, there's a reason we're going this way. And
Yeah.
let's just say yes to that and see where it takes us.
Yeah.
And it can be unsettling, it could be uncomfortable. And I'm actually really glad that you're bringing this up because I think maybe that's my assumption, but when most people hear NFL player, they think
Yeah.
like, this guy's got it, right? He doesn't have doubt. He doesn't worry, right? He's got it together. But I think as human beings, we all go through that stuff.
We all go through
All
it.
go through the journey.
Yes, we all go through it. But in life, because it comes in phases and there are seasons for everything. So, on the one side of it, it's, man, playing football. I started playing football, Marie, when I was 6 years old, actually 5, right? And I played all the way up until my early 30s. So football was something I was very confident in, right? I spent my 10,000 hours doing it. I'm a professional at it. However, when that season ended, I felt very inadequate because I was moving now into a space, a business world that I've never been before. And I'm competing against either young people that are just coming out of college and they're fresh off of their degree, or people that have been in the space for a long time. I'm like, I don't know how to compete in this world. I don't know how to compete in this space. And I think that's where kind of that fear came in, right? And then there's also the fear of failure and all of this stuff. And I'll tell you what, I don't care who you are. Everyone has that. Everyone has, on those two shoulders, you got those two voices. One is telling you, oh man, you're amazing. Go for it. You got this. And the other one is like, you really think that can happen? Come on. You know, it's not going to work out, right? And you have to silence that one. And you just got to keep pushing. Yeah. So I'm glad you said that, but I will be the first to tell you, no, there is that fear still of like anything that you take on. But I think what I have learned to do is I have gotten comfortable being uncomfortable, right?
Yes.
And I know that anything that I do, if I'm uncomfortable with it, if it's challenging me, it's probably going to change me. And I'm either going to learn something or win or whatever it is, there's always something to be taken from it. So that's just how I kind of view life.
You know what? I think that's also, I mean, we started talking about that perspective of how you see things because, Bryan, you know my story. I came from a corporate world. I came from highly successful in academics, right?
Yeah,
Salutatorian, honors student, highest honors, blah, 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 climbing the corporate ladder. Great, I knew that. And then I got into entrepreneurship thinking,
yeah.
going to translate 101. I
Uh-huh.
quickly found out that is not the case.
Doesn't. Yeah,
So
doesn't.
I had a whoopsie moment. And like you said, it was terrifying, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I voluntarily resigned my career. And I
Uh-huh.
said, I'm going to do this. Oh my gosh, so many lessons. And I choose not to see failures, like you said. I choose to see if it doesn't go the way I want it to, there is a lesson for me there.
Right,
And
right.
it's okay if it's going to shake up my comfort zone. I'm growing. And
Grow,
at
yes.
this point, I would say comfort doesn't even feel good because you're like, oh, I'm stagnant. I'm not growing. I'm not pushing myself outside my comfort zone.
Yeah, yeah,
So I'm really glad that you're bringing those points up because, like you said, for every one of us, there are the two voices. The one
yes.
that's like, go, 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 and the other one that's like, no, 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 what are you
That's
thinking?
right. That's
And
right.
it's learning to say, okay. And I tell people, I'm like, there is a moment when you start realizing that you have a choice between those two voices that
Yeah,
you feel a little bit crazy
yeah,
because you hear yourself in your head going through this battleship of which voice is going to
yes.
win.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll share a story since we're talking about that. Do you do it? Do you not do it? Those voices. So, when I was about to go into high school, so like I said, I've been playing football since I was 5 years old, touch, pee wee, middle school,
Mhm.
and I'm getting ready to enter into high school. And I'm in the car with my dad. We're spending, and when you have windshield time with your parents, that's really cool time. You get a chance to connect. So my dad said, "Hey son, you're getting ready for high school. Like, are you excited to play high school football?" And I said, "Dad, you know what? I don't think I want to play high school football." And he said, "Really?" He said, "That's fair, but tell me why, you know?" And I said, "Well, you know what? Just last night, Friday night, I went to the high school game for the first time, and I kind of paid attention to the game, knowing that I was going to, try to be on the team next year. And me watching the game, Dad, those dudes, they're so big and they're so fast and strong. And I just don't think I can play at that level. I'm actually afraid of getting hurt. And he said, "Okay, that's fair." He said, "But let me tell you something." He said, "I don't know if I ever really shared this story with you." So my dad, he said, when I was growing up, I always wanted to play in the NBA professionally. And he went on and he got a college scholarship, right, to play basketball. And it was a smaller school. And his senior year, he got an invitation to go and try out for the New Jersey Nets. Well, on the day of the tryout, he said, "Son, on the day of the tryout, I did not get up, I did not dress up, and I did not show up because I did not think I was good enough. And I didn't want to get rejected. And I just never did it." And he said, "Now, I got to be honest. And even though my dad is very successful, he's an oral surgeon, has had a great career. He said, a lot of times, like I would think about the regret of not showing up and what would have happened had I done it." And he said, living with regret is some of the worst things that can happen to you, right? And so I don't want you to feel that. So if I were you and I'm not, you have to make this decision, but just go and give it a shot. Give it your best shot. And if it's something that you ultimately decide it's not what you want to do, then I support you. I'll still love you, but at least you'll know in your mind, you know what? I tried this. So Maria, I tell you what, I went and I thought about it, and those two voices were still going, like, go ahead and do it. The other one was like, man, you about to get beat up out there. Don't do it. But I decided to do it. And I went and I signed up. And a lot of people ask, so I was number 32 in high school, and people ask why I chose that number. Well, it was only because it was between that number and one other number because I was one of the last people to sign up. That's how long it took me to sign up. And, looking back at my career, the rest is history. So I went on to become, in 3 years, the Pennsylvania State Player of the Year, Gatorade Player of the Year. I had football scholarship offers from just about every college in the country. And look where it took me, a 10-year professional career. And so it's just, you just never know. I just say that, take the shot. You never know.
You know what? So Bryan, I was thinking about, I loved fitness ever since I was young, but I never considered that a professional route, right?
Yeah.
I come from a family of academia and it was all about studies and getting a good job and all of that. So, you know, since I was about 20, I would tell my friends, one day I'm going to have my own fitness studio. And that was like one day,
Yeah.
when my
Yeah.
career is over. And then when my intuition kind of started guiding me to like make the jump,
Yeah.
I worked my career almost 20 years building a career in finance.
Yeah.
I was like, man, just give that up and start like fitness studio. Like that doesn't really make a lot of common sense, right? And it was scary. I will tell you, when I gave in my resignation, Bryan, I was like, just don't put me on the desk of my boss. I was like, just keep it together, hold it together.
Yeah.
What I just kept repeating myself is, you know what, if this doesn't work out, you can always go back to corporate, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
I'll even tell you, like within the first year was very challenging for me in many ways, personally, professionally. And there was that voice going like, what are you doing? Just go back to what you
Yeah.
know. But there was something inside me that was like, no, just, you got this. Like this, kind of like the two
Yeah.
voices.
Yeah.
And my biggest thing was, at least I'll know I have tried. And if it doesn't work, I'll know I've given it a fair chance. And then I
Right.
can say, well, I tried, it didn't work. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
I just couldn't go, like, because it kept spinning in my head. And you know what, Rebels? If you have an idea that keeps coming back to you and you're like, well, that just doesn't make sense, because I dismissed my idea for about a year and a half before I
Yeah.
resigned. And I'm like, nah, I was like, that's silly, right?
Yeah.
I kid you not. I mean, look at your story, look where it take you. I mean, my story is not in professional athletics, but I mean, I feel so much more fulfilled and happy and
Yeah.
grateful for the entire experience. And I do think I'm doing what I'm supposed to do now, what I'm meant
Yeah.
to do. I feel purposeful.
And that's so fulfilling, right? When you find your purpose and you said something else though. You said, if it doesn't work out, at least I gave it my best shot. But also taking it a step farther, if it doesn't work out, it probably wasn't for you,
Yeah.
right? Like that, it just wasn't meant for you. And I know everyone that has a story in their life that they can relate to say, man, I really tried this and it didn't work out. And you can beat yourself. Maybe it was I didn't seal the deal on something, or maybe it's you felt like you failed at something. But at the end of the day, nah, there was something greater out there because it wasn't for you. You thought it was, but it really wasn't. And that has happened to me time and time again. And again, just when you start with gratitude, there's nothing that like can shake that. You're just happy for every experience, whether it's the good, the bad. Like, yeah, people are saying, Bryan, how are you always so happy? And I'm like, I have bad moments. I do it's life. Like we go through it, right? Lifes. It happens. Um, but when it does, what's the positive that you find in that moment? Like, what are you grasping from it? And then how can you take that, put it in your pocket and apply it, right? And don't let that moment turn into a bad day and a bad week and a bad month, because before you know it, it's been bad years. And life, we don't have too many years on this earth, Maria. So we we got to take advantage of them.
I'm with you. And one thing that I love about what you said, I'll take it especially into business, because yeah, sometimes you don't get the client that you want,
Yeah,
the crew goes through whatever. We all have those moments, and it's part of business. And
right.
like I was even telling somebody, I had a last minute cancellation. And I said, you know what? I used to freak out. Oh my gosh, I gotta cancel, like what, like big deal, right? And now I'm like, you know what? Okay, I'm meant to spend that time on something else, right?
Something else.
Or
That's right.
there is a positive that comes from that. And when you just change your perspective around that,
Yeah.
the energy around it of something so little that can take us down the rabbit hole and waste so much of our time and energy
Yes.
can turn it into a positive. And
Yes. Yes.
perspective, the perspective that you keep in life, whether it's personal or professional, like Bryan, like you said, we're all human. We all have
Hmm.
ups and downs. Somebody once asked me, do you always have it together? And I was like, no.
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 But what I've learned is I have my tools and my tips and tricks, to pull me out of it.
Yeah.
Snap out of it a lot faster than I would before. Like I would stay down there a long time. Now I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that just doesn't even feel good. I want to crawl out.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have it together? No, but I have what I need.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
what I need to keep going. Yes.
So Bryan, tell us a little bit about food solutions. As when we first connected, I was like so excited that you do feed stuff, because Rebels,
Yeah.
you have listened to all the episodes on food health. That's something I'm definitely passionate about. And Bryan, if you talk to any of my clients, they have footwork as exercises.
Yes.
As an athlete, tell us the importance of foot health.
Yeah. Well, not even just from an athlete, feet.
No.
What are feet? So we say feet are the foundation of your health, right? Everything starts at the bottom and it works its way up. I say feet are overworked and underappreciated, right? Not too many people give enough love to their feet.
Yes.
I started as an athlete, I started having foot issues. It was my fourth year in. I
Mm.
developed plantar fasciitis. And it got so bad that I thought it was going to end my career. And I just could not get it under control. I would try and go get different types of orthotics and inserts. Um, and if the orthotic worked for my foot, it might not have worked for my cleat. So I couldn't wear it when I played. Or if it fit in my cleat, then it didn't work for me and it just put my whole body out of whack. And once I finally found that perfect fit, I went on and obviously I played 6 more years after that, right? But that's when I realized how important feet are. And I mean, people will talk about, oh, well, your big toe. Man, if you just hurt your toe, why is that important? But it balances you. People don't realize it, man.
It
When
does.
your feet hurt, everything hurt. And I know now being in this space of foot solutions, women, I can listen. When women are like, my feet hurt, I need to get out of these shoes. I understand, right? But foot solutions, and I always say foot solutions, it is not sexy or glamorous to talk about feet, right? But it is something that is so needed. And foot solutions, we are a foot wellness franchise that we specialize in making custom orthotics, yes, and then we sell different brands of shoes, but we really lean in on our service and our expertise. We're kind of like in this cool white space of we're not a doctor's office, but we're also not just retail either. We have highly trained, shoe fitters or podorthists in our stores that they really can look at you and no pun intended, find that perfect solution when they take you through, the assessment and it's scanning your feet with high-end technology. It's watching your gait, watching you walk, how you stand, digging into your activities, what you like to do, the types of shoes that you wear. And we just want to really empower you with the knowledge to say, hey, here's what you need. And to let you know, life is way too short to just fight through it because you do not have to be in pain. So that's Foot Solutions in a nutshell. But yeah, whether it's Foot Solutions or anywhere else, take care of your feet. I call them dogs just because being around athletes, when your dogs start barking, that means they're talking to you, you're in pain. Take care of them. Take care of them puppies. Come on.
I say, you said feet are the, what did you say? Are the
Feet are
foundation
the
of
foundation of your health.
your health. I say
Yes.
they're the foundation of your tower, the body being the tower. And
Yes.
I say if your feet do funny business, you'll be the Tower of Pisa, right? You're like in one
Yes.
way or the other, and then that changes your posture, and
Yep.
it changes the biomechanics of how you move. And I can tell you how many distortions of posture I see.
Yeah.
Somebody has had plantar fasciitis, or they've
Yep.
broken a toe, or they've even had like a bunion or surgery
Right.
or something like that. And sometimes we'll be working with a client. I'm like, what did you do? Your feet are tight. They'll be like, really? And I'm like, get up. And I'll give them, like I'll put them through articulation of the foot, and they're like,
Yeah.
oh. And I'm like, you see? I'm like, that's changing the way you're walking,
Yes.
changing
Yes.
everything that's stacked on top. And,
Yeah.
I mean, nobody teaches us to take care of our feet. And
Right.
it's such an important component of our overall wellness. I totally agree with you.
Yes, yes, it is. Yeah, just give love to your feet. And and in the full spectrum of things, because you have the barefoot movement where people like to be barefoot, all the time. And then you have others that they really need because of what they're going through and health conditions. They need like really supportive shoes or inserts in their shoes, which is totally fine. But how can you then, if wherever you are, how can you kind of rehab your way back? Right? To make sure your feet are functioning properly, make sure they have the movement in them that they should. Just, yeah, I can't talk enough
What's
about it.
your speaking of that, the barefoot movement versus a lot of support, what is
Yeah.
your personal opinion on the benefits of each?
Yeah, so okay. And so that spectrum, like we said, it's really wide, right?
Yeah.
And in a perfect world, how we are made, and we should be able to be barefoot all the time, feet spread, like your feet are strong, you should all of that stuff. And I totally get that. Well, also with the change of, the infrastructure where it's concrete and cement, that's really tough, not just on your feet, but on the rest of your joints. So that's the reason why it's like, okay, we need something there, right? Depending upon what you're doing. So I don't necessarily recommend the barefoot running, just going on the pavement and walking. But however, every foot is different and there's millions of feet, right? And more times than not, your left foot doesn't match your right foot. That it is just what it is. So I don't think there's anything right or wrong. It's how does it feel to you? I'll just say, how does your body feel? How does your feet feel? If you feel amazing doing certain things, then oh, bro, don't fix that. Don't fix that at all. So I don't necessarily have a say either which way. But if you are where it's like, man, you need something, a very supportive shoe and orthotics in your shoe, put them in, wear them, but also try to figure out how, like I said, moving back to the left-hand side of the spectrum to where it doesn't have to be so rigid because you want your body to be able to move, and movement is life, right? So at the end of the day, it really is. So that's my take on it. And I think as long as people, because you'll have everyone on both sides of the coin. Nope, you got to be barefoot. Nope, you got to be in something really supportive. But it's like, guys, meet people where they are. Like, what
So,
do they?
and a
Yeah.
lot of what I'm hearing and reading lately, Brian, is it's kind of like the middle. It's good to spend some time barefoot. For example,
Yes.
I walk a lot in the house barefoot so that I can
Yes.
really feel the contact with the floor, really articulate. But then when I'm exercising, I have good support.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of hearing a little bit of both because I think we used to be very extreme, either do this or do that.
Or do that. Yeah.
And now it's coming a little bit more into the middle. And, one other thing as you were speaking that comes to mind is I think the quality of shoes that are out there nowadays is just not the same. I mean, you see a shoe and you try to bend the sole, and that
Yes.
sole does not move. It's just like stuck. And I don't think we really think about what that does to our feet,
The
especially,
feet.
I do have to say, ladies with high heels, if you get a shoe like that, oh my gosh, it crushes your feet.
Yeah.
So, the importance of the flexibility of the sole. Would you agree with that, Brian?
Yeah, so again, it depends on where you are. So you have some shoes that are super flexible. You can kind of like take them and ring them up, right, and throw them in your bag. And there are others where they're super rigid, but they each play a part and they each have a role in depending upon what you're going through. So at Foot Solutions, like our demographic, it's because when people come to see us, they have some serious issues going on with their feet. We cannot put them in a barefoot shoe. We can't put them in something that's super flexible because that's probably what they're walking in with, and they're complaining like, oh, my body hurts starting with my feet. So it's like, okay, we need to find something else for you that will help support you and we'll put you into this. However, let's also educate you though, how, if you want to get back to that, how can we get you back to that? But this is what you need right here. And then you have others that, in a perfect world, like yourself, I mean, you like to spend time barefoot. So flexible shoes, that's amazing for you. I have flexible shoes. It's amazing for me, right? When I was playing football, though, I think some of my shoes were too flexible, and I developed even like turf toe, the big toe. It can't, it's starting to really bother it when it bends too much. So I was put in a shoe that had kind of like a metal bottom to it that held my big toe in place, because I was pushing off a little too much and I was irritating it. So I think everything has its place, but that's the beauty of it. When I tell you, almost like just how the world should be, coexist. Look, there's a
Yeah.
place for everything. And as
For
long
every
as
foot.
every foot, and as long as we lead with love to say, I'm going to love on my feet and try to get them the best as possible, you can't go wrong with it. You just can't.
I was going to ask you for a piece of advice, but that just right there sounded like the best piece of advice. Love on your feet.
Yes, love on your feet.
All right, Brian, let's start wrapping up. I cannot let you get away from here without asking you, what's your definition of rebellious?
Definition of rebellion, So when I was a child, that term was a lot of times placed on me that I was a rebellious kid. And it wasn't, I didn't know what that term meant, rebellious, but to me, it was just, you know what? I was living in the moment, and whatever spoke to me, that's what I wanted to do. And that's where I would end up. And it wasn't that I was trying to be disobedient or not listen. There was that inner voice that was talking to me that kind of just led me that way. And I don't know, sometimes it got me in trouble. But so that's what I hear when think of the word rebellious. It takes me back to my childhood a little bit.
I do have to say, I was called the mastermind when I was a kid because I always had a brilliant idea that sometimes resulted in me getting in trouble. And I have a younger brother who, poor thing, I always try to blame it on him. And my
Yeah.
parents would just look and go, really? And I'll be like, Why doesn't it work?
Right, right.
Yeah, but I what resonates with what you said is like being present in the moment and listening to that intuition, sixth sense, whatever you want to call it, inner voice that guides you on your journey to
Yes,
staying authentic to who you are versus what you're told to do. So
that's
that's
right.
kind of like my interpretation of what you just said.
Yes.
Uh, Bryan, tell us, where can people find your website, social media links, if they have questions? What's the
Oh,
best?
for sure. So first start with the Foot Solutions website because if you're experiencing anything, we would love to help you out. So footsolutions.com, check us out. We have stores throughout the country. You can go online or please come into stores so that way a professional can see you. But me personally, hit me on my Instagram at Team Bryan Scott. Would love to connect with you if you have any questions or email brian@footsolutions.com. Yeah.
Bryan, thanks for the amazing conversation. I appreciate you taking the time to be here with us and share your wisdom and be a lot of fun. I'm
Thank you
grateful.
for allowing me to share this moment with you.
Yeah,
I appreciate
loving great vibes. So, Rebels, you know the spiel. If you have any questions, surely feel free to let us know what those are. Hook up, connect with Bryan. And then, of course, if you know of anybody who can benefit from this episode, like, share, and let us know what you think. I thank you for listening in. Bryan, again, thanks for being here.
Thank
And you
you.
Rebels, do not forget to stay rebellious. See you next time. Did you enjoy the conversation? Like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Want to redefine your success equation to include a healthy body and a healthy mind? Check out our website at rebellious-studio.com.